For those of you who were playing the over and under for how many people were going to show up tonight for the snowstorm, we are at 16. And we expect that some of those proceeds will go to our annual fund. So just send the check to Uma and we'll be very grateful, but not on Shabbat. When we were on our way here, when I was driving here, I saw just a flake or two, but really nothing more than that. I don't know if it's changed in the last 20 minutes or so, but it was one of those things where I thought, we canceled religious school tomorrow because of snow, which means it's not going to snow or it's going to melt by 9 a.m. So we'll see. Whatever it is, stay safe tomorrow and enjoy your Shabbat of snow. This has been quite an interesting week for all of us. Actually, weeks, I would say, since Colleyville, Texas, and then International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And I know many of my colleagues and I have talked about this kind of emotional whirlwind that we've been going through of all the things we're feeling out of these different moments. But when we come to the sanctuary for Shabbat, we should find a way to find peace. Because Shabbat is supposed to be this separate palace in time. It's supposed to be a moment separate from the rest of the week, a moment where we can breathe a little, where we cannot be boggled down in the miseries of what happens during the week, but see the world as something beautiful and radiant and glorious, even with the upcoming snowpocalypse. It's still important to be able to find that thing that gives us joy on Shabbat. So before we start our worship this morning, or this afternoon, this evening. I'll get it right one of these times. All I'm doing is thinking of the snow. Let's find a way of being able to find that joy, be able to find that laughter, be able to find that humor and that spark of enjoyment that makes Shabbat what it is, surrounded by community, whether you're at home or here with us today, so we can enter Shabbat in peace together.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Ina Horn, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to Anshe Emeth Memorial Temple. It's wonderful to see so many of you in temple tonight on this snowy night. If you are at home, I hope you are warm and cozy and enjoying the good feelings of being home and not the frustration of not being somewhere else. So this Shabbat, let's love the place we are in and create this moment together. Now it is my pleasure to call on Laura Leibowitz to the Bima to light the Shabbat candles and lead us in the blessings that may be found on pages 2 and 3 of your prayer book. Wishing everyone a warm and safe Shabbat.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kireshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue on pages 20 and 21 for Lachadodi.
Shamor v'zachor v'libor echad, ishmianu elai meyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litehila, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor haberacha, meirash mikerem nesucha, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, ומצאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה, na'ari me'afar kumi. Lifshi bigdei tifortei ami, al yad ben Ishai beit halachmi, korba el nafshi ge'ala. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'orei kumi ori, ori ori, shiraberi, kevod Adonai alai igla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lo teboshi velo tikalmi, ma tishlochachi, uma temi bach yechesu. Aniye ani v'nivneta al atila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Vehayu limshi sasosai ferachaku, kol mevalai yasis alai Elohai. Kimsos chatan akala, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Yaminu smolti frotzi be'et Adonai, taritzi al yad ish. Ben parzi ben ismecha ben agila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala,
We rise in either body or spirit.
Shalom, ateret balagam besimcha, uvesolat tochem ulei, am segula. Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela.
Shabbat Shalom. Not only is it nice when the last verse of Lecha Dodi comes up and we face the entrance to the sanctuary and to the temple itself, and the doors to the outside are opened up so we can let the Shekhinah in. It's also nice because you can do a snow check to see how we're doing outside. As of now, the sermon is still on, so we continue on page 26 for Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'al ma divrach hirutei ve'adlik malchutei. B'chaye kol u'v'yom echad u'b'chaye kol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, u'bizman ישמח וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה
בריחו
לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא וימרו Amen.
We rise in either body or spirit for the Barhu on page 28. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, uvit vuna mishaneh itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim b'mishmeroteam barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, Ma'avir yom umevi laila, Mavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid imloch alenu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אתה, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו למדת.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו למדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה. באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo.
אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל,
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, amen.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. God from right. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom. Vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei onei Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha. Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei onei Shabbat. Am, mekadeshei, mekadeshei shevi Shabbat. Kulam, yisbe'u, mit'angu mituvecha Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha. Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei onei Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha. Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei onei Shabbat. Shvi, ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdat, yamin, oto karata Shabbat. Shabbat yismechu b'malechutecha. Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei onei Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha. Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei onei Shabbat. Zeicher, Lema'aseh v'reishit Shabbat. Zeicher, Lema'aseh v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha. Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei onei Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha. Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei onei Shabbat.
A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat arrives in the world. scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Adonai Svatai Tifta Ufi Yagitehi Latecha. Adonai Svatai Tifta Ufi Yagitehi Latecha. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat arrives in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Adonai Svatai Tifta Ufi Yagitehi Latecha. Yai dai dai, yai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imahot, Umevi Geula Libnei Bneihem, Lema'an Shemo ve'Ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim berofei kolim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al givurot, Umidomelach, Melech meimid umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Vene'eman ata le'achayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
We continue now with Tefillat Halev, the personal, private prayer of your heart, either using the words in your prayer book up until page 63, or more importantly, the words inscribed upon your heart, after which you may be seated. This past Wednesday, a film crew from CNBC came to the temple and interviewed me about things that were happening in terms of security. And they handed me one of these and said, I don't know if you've used one of these before, but there's a trick in how to hide it so no one sees it in the jacket. I think I got this one down. It was a really interesting experience. You know, I've been on local things before, but nothing national before. And they had a two-person film crew come with a couple of cameras, and it was set up in the Beit Midrash. They completely shoved everything off to one side. All I could think of in my head is Julius is going to run in here screaming any second now. And they put up the camera, and I sat on the stool. And I said, so I look at the camera, like, no, don't look at the camera. We put this stick over here, and you've got to look at the stick, because we're going to make it seem like you're talking to somebody in the room. So just look at the stick over here, and don't look at the camera. And I said, you know, I've got a puppet in my office. We could put him on the stick, because then I've got eyes to look at. One of them laughed. The other one, it was kind of hard to tell underneath the mask, but he said, I think you can manage staring at an imaginary stick. Oh, the stick's not imaginary, it's right there, it's the person around it. Apparently that was too much humor for people on a schedule. At the town hall, we'll play the full clip, because we're going to talk about security and what we're doing at the temple, so I won't go into it then. I was amazed at how they could perfectly cut the middle of a sentence to get what they want. They were interested in a lot of things. Have you ever been Zoom bombed? Can you tell us a story about being Zoom bombed? No, I'm sorry, we've never been Zoom bombed. Well, have you ever had, like, graffiti on the... No, we haven't had... Well, what type of hate have you had? Well, we've been really good. We aren't really changing a lot of what we're doing because we've been thinking about this for a while, which is the sad state of the world we're in. You know, this week, in fact, the day the show was aired, was International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And I said how sorry it is that we live in a world where every year we can commemorate the genocide that happened in Europe so long ago. And yet the week before, there are still anti-Semitic acts where people are being held at gunpoint. This is not something new for us as Jews. We've been thinking about this a long time. So no, we haven't, at this temple, changed what we're doing. I know there are other rabbis that I've spoken to who have been rethinking things, but thankfully not us. They took that little clip there, but I've spoken to other rabbis who are changing everything. That's what made the TV show, not the stuff before and after. The thing that the interviewer was really interested in talking about, we talked about it for some time, although some of it entered the show, was talking about value conflicts. She was really interested in how do we balance the need to stay safe and secure and the drive to turn this sanctuary into a fortress versus the value of being open, of being inclusive, of being welcoming, of feeding the hungry, to clothing people, to bringing in people for our rummage sale without asking for fingerprints and a background check or bringing in one of those clear booths for biometric scans. How do you juxtapose those two? She asked. My answer was we hired a really good consultant who understood the need for us to be safe, but not at all give up our values. And we're able to create this holy community where we're able to do that. But life, I told her, life is a series of value tensions. Right? we're always underneath some tension. Hillel and Shammai had it beautifully, right? When the man wanted to know about Judaism, he went to Shammai's office and said, tell me everything you know about Judaism in 1 foot, and I might convert. And he sent him away. How dare you ask me that question, right? How could we boil down this millennial-old tradition into one sentence? Do you think we're that high in the air, that fluffy, that we could do that? And then he goes to Hillel, and he asks Hillel, can you do me the same thing? And Hillel says, love your neighbor as yourself. The rest is all commentary. Go and learn it, right? That there's a way of being inclusive and welcoming, but also guarding our tradition and not letting it wither away or water off. I see it in this week's Torah portion, Mishpatim. The first part at the beginning is all about if you have slaves, this is how you treat your slaves. And if you want to sell your daughter off to slavery, this is how you would do it. And if for some chance, and it goes on and on, if your children insult their parents, you can kill them. I almost made Matthew read that one, but it's a sermon for another time. But then, all of a sudden, it switches gears and says you've got to love the widow, the orphan, the stranger in your midst, because you were strangers in the land of Egypt. And you, community leaders, if you don't respect the most vulnerable in your community, you will have nothing short of the wrath of God coming down at you, because you, community leaders, you should know better than that. If you lend money to somebody who's poor, don't you dare earn any interest on it. You are not to make any money off of helping somebody who is vulnerable. What a juxtaposition. If you own slaves, this is how you treat them. If you aren't kind to the vulnerable, God will smite you. Aren't the slaves the vulnerable? How do you juxtapose both of those in the same world? The way I make peace with it is that in any time period where Jews have been, there have always been behaviors or actions that we may deem to be immoral or things that shouldn't happen in society. And if we're part of society that does that, God gives us a way of doing it ethically. I'm not saying owning slaves is ethical by any means, but God's trying to give a framework for how do you ethically behave in a world that does things that you're not comfortable with, that you're not happy with. And I think that relates to what we're dealing with in terms of security. We live in a world that is more divisive than ever, that is more angry at each other than ever, that is more hateful and more spiteful. And we could very well put up a fortress around this sanctuary, around this temple, and say we're not going to let any of that in and you're all on your own. Right? Sei gesund, see you later, let us know when the apocalypse is over and we'll open up the gate. But we don't. Because God tells us that if we live in a society where people don't have empathy for the vulnerable, that if people don't care for those who need caring, then you have to do it. That's what it's telling us, that we might have this urge to fortify everything in our lives, but if we do, we miss what it means to live a purposeful and holy life. We miss the ability to help lift up others, to feed the hungry, to clothe those who need clothing, to give a shelter to those who don't have any. None of that, by the way, made it onto the TV show. But I still stand by it. Because if we want to live in a world that's not concerned about anti-Semitism, where we're not concerned about anti-Semitism, we also have to live in a world that doesn't know what xenophobia is, or Islamophobia, or homophobia. all those phobias out there, if we are to live in a world that is safe for us, we need to live in a world that's safe for everybody. And if we can't make that world a reality, then how do we protect the next generation and the generations to come? And the answer is in our Torah portion this week, that if we are to build that world, we start with kindness. And we don't let whatever forces are out there interfere with how we are kind to others. That is how we build a world that is safe for everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Chesed yibaneh, yada lai lai lai, la la lai lai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yada lai lai lai, la la lai lai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yada lai. Chesed yibaneh, yaradai, yaradai, yaradai. Oh, I will build this word from love, yaradai, yaradai, yaradai. And you must build this world from love, yaradai. And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. Olam chesed yibaneh, yaradai. Chesed yibaneh, yaradai, dai, dai, yaradai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yaradai, dai, dai, yaradai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yaradai.
Shabbat Shalom once again. Again, if you're at home playing the over-under on how many people in attendance tonight because of snow, we are up to 20. So 20 is the new number. Any proceeds can be sent to Uma on Monday. Is Seth out there to give us a snow update? Oh, we're still doing good. Okay. Just a few announcements before we conclude our service tonight. All of religious school was canceled for tomorrow. You have a snow day. God, I hope it snows. But all of the adult education classes, such as Tanakh, Torah study, math, and Intro to Judaism, are still going to happen completely virtual on Zoom. Those links are in the weekly email or what was sent out at 2 o'clock today. Next Wednesday at 2 o'clock, next Wednesday, February 2nd at 11 a.m. is our next Lunch and Learn with Rabbi Miller. Again, that is still virtual, so the lunch is something that you provide, not us, from your home. On Wednesday at 7, we're going to have our town hall meeting, also on Zoom, where we're going to be discussing Anshe Emet security and the events from Texas, as well as some other things that are happening upon the horizon. And then finally, next Sunday is our Keeper of Jewish Excellence. It's Sunday at 10:30. RSVPs are required. It is completely virtual on Zoom. We will be screening the movie Space Torah with the director, Rachel Reyes, who spoke about an astronaut who brought a Torah scroll up with him to outer space. The movie is going to be on Zoom, streamed to everybody. And because of that, we can't record because of copyright issues. So you've got to be there in person. You've got to RSVP in order to attend. You won't be able to get the RSVP the morning of or 10 minutes beforehand. So please RSVP beforehand. And if you come to the Keepers, you're going to get a code for a Zoom conversation with the astronaut himself that's happening in a few weeks afterwards. So the movie is wonderful, and it's a great, great documentary, so please come and enjoy. On this Shabbat Eve, as we join together as one congregation to celebrate creation and the joy of life and living, we turn our thoughts to those in our community for whom life has become precarious because of ill health or hospitalization. O God of healing, in our hearts we name those who are facing illness and pain. We join our prayers together with the prayers of those who love them. Give them renewed comfort and courage. Strengthen them the healing powers you place within us all. Guide the hands and hearts of those who are entrusted with their care. May the knowledge of your love and ours give added hope to them and their families. May they find even greater strength because our prayers are linked to theirs. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu hu yivarech et hacholim, refuat hanefesh u'refuat haguf, ashta'a b'ga'ala v'zman kariv v'nomar. Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless those in need of healing. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit as together we say, Amen. We continue now on page 282 as we rise in body or spirit for Elenu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד.
On this Shabbat, following International Holocaust Remembrance Day, Yizkor, we remember. We remember our people who suffered and died so that we could be free and secure. May their memory be more than a distant shadow. For their dreams left unfulfilled and lives taken too soon, we remember. We remember our brothers and sisters whose sacrifice kept the dream of democracy and justice alive. May their courage be our inspiration and strength. For life cut short and vision unrealized, we remember. We remember the fallen of our armed services, the victims of terror and tragedy. May the darkness of their loss not obscure the light of peace. They were in love with our land and in love with life. For the agony, the tears, the mothers and fathers, for the children who were and for the children yet to be, we remember. With hearts that ache and are saddened, we name now those whom death has recently taken from us, those whose families are observing the Shloshim. We remember Gilda Lipsky, wife of Larry of blessed memory, mother of David of blessed memory, mother-in-law to Fran, grandmother of Andrew and Matthew and Elian. We remember Bill Sanders, uncle of Pam and Ron Brandstorfer and Robin Sadie. We remember Elizabeth Falk, wife of Raymond of blessed memory, stepmother of David and Joy Falk, and grandmother to Philip Falk. We remember Naomi Feldman, mother of Carol and Gary and Donna, grandmother of Jason and Nadine Lichtenberg. We remember Fred Rock, brother of Lori and Bob Levitt, uncle of Lisa and Craig Peskin and Benjamin and Gail Levitt. We remember Rita Karan, mother of Julie Kamen, of blessed memory, mother-in-law of Phil, mother of Lynn and John White, grandmother of Fred Kamen and Jennifer Senick, Randall Marks, David and Sandra White, and Marcy and Sue Sullivan White, and great-grandmother of Julian Senick Kamen, Rebecca, Melissa, and Brittany White. We remember Bunny Fredericks, wife of Roy Fredericks, sister of Connie Kuhn and Gary of blessed memory, aunt of Chrissy and Ira Polans. We remember Linda Getz, wife of Alan Getz, mother of Daniel and Karen, and Mitchell and Danny Rose Getz, sister of Barbara and Michael Ehrlichman, and grandmother of Julian, Sebastian, Luna, and Kika. We remember Jackie Bostek, wife of Barry of blessed memory, mother of Andrew and Julie Bostek, Rachel and Archie Walker, and Sharon Bostek and Michael Nalepa, grandmother of Leah and Ryan, of Lucy and Meredith Nalepa. Remember Selma Zimmerman, mother of Debbie and Jeff Cece, Michael Zimmerman and Lori and Michael Walenti, and grandmother of Brandon Walenti. And remember Susan Cutel, wife of Eric, mother of Marcy and Matt Fantel, and grandmother of Ethan and Ray Fantel. On this Shabbat, we also recall those dear ones who died at this season in years past and whose names we record with love in our service booklet this evening. Their names are forever bound to our hearts and are permanently inscribed throughout our building. And if you are joining us tonight online to say Kaddish for a loved one, please either say their names aloud at home or type their names into the chat, either on YouTube, Facebook, or on our temple streaming site, so that we can lift up the names of your loved ones together with you. And if you're here in person to say Kaddish for a loved one, please say their names as I look out around the sanctuary. We rise now as one community to remember our loved ones, but also those who perish from tragedy and terror and acts of hatred. We continue with Kaddish Tome on page 294. It Gadal, V'Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'Almad Yivrach Hirotei, V'Amlik Malchutei, V'Chai Chon V'Yom Nechon, V'Chai Dekol Beit Yisrael, V'Gala V'Zman Kariv V'Yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mivrach Me'olam Olamei Almaya, Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpa'ar V'Yitromam V'Yitnaseh, V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shmei D'Kudishah B'Rechu, Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata, Tush B'Chata V'Nechamata, Damiran V'Alma V'Yimru Amen. Yehei Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mramav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace bestow peace to all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved, as we say, Amen.
Se shalom b'mromav, uyase shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'yimeru. We close our service this evening with the singing of Ein Keloheinu, found on page 322. We rise. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshe. Moshienu, Micha Eloheinu, Micha Adonenu, Micha Malkeinu, Micha Moshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Vayehi erev, vayehi boker, yom hashishi. Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tziva'am. V'echal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa. Vayishbon bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa. Vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi. Vayikadesh oto kivo shavat mikol melachto. Asher bara Elohim la'asot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu Shabbat Kodsho, Be'ahava Uvratzon, Hinechilanu, Zikaron Lemaaseh Bereshit, Ki Hu Yom Tehila Lemikra'ei Kodesh, Zecher Letziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinachatanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashavat. Amen. L'chaim.
I don't know about you, but I can't wait till we're back in Lippman Hall doing this all together. We join for Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom and stay safe.